Hello, I'm Bob Bunting, the CEO of the Climate Adaptation Center in Sarasota, Florida. The CAC is the first climate adaptation center that is geared to making climate more understandable at the local level, because that's where we're going to have to deal with it. Without dealing with climate warming on the local level, it's my opinion that we're not going to win the battle against climate change. Fortunately, or unfortunately, we are having major climate impacts in our local living spaces, and we are going to have to deal with those impacts as we move through the years and decades ahead. Donations to the CAC and memberships at the CAC will help make our organization self-sustaining. And when that happens, we'll be able to spread the technology and know-how from our CAC development to other communities around the United States and around the world. So think of it as almost like a franchise of the CAC brand across the nation and world, so that we can bring the best science and make it understandable to you to inform decision makers in our communities so they can make better decisions quicker, more effectively, to deal with the climate impacts we're expecting over our lifetimes. The CAC has a world-class website that you can connect to and keep up to date on all the climate disruptions that we're expecting and having already. We at the CAC in Florida are focused on sea level rise, the strengthening of hurricanes and their impacts in Florida. Hurricanes are becoming more severe, they're becoming more slow moving, and they're becoming more in number. And this trend is going to increase as we move forward for the next 10, 20, and 30 years. So we're going to have to deal with these impacts. In Florida, we're also having red tides. They're happening more frequently because the Gulf of Mexico is not cooling down in the winter to kill the red tide. So every year we have background red tide, and they're getting worse as time goes along. Some of these tides can be harmful to human health, which is another area that we're focusing on, because climate warming does impact human health with more heat waves, with toxins from red tides, with the spread of diseases like dengue fever and others that are happening in wider ranges around the world because the world is warming so quickly. We're also talking about the impact on biodiversity, because our oceans and our land masses in Florida and in the Gulf of Mexico are so important to our economy and providing the food we need to sustain ourselves. So without biodiversity, the humankind is going to be suffering. And so the CAC is geared to help educate everyone on these major issues that are Florida issues. But when we move to other locations around the country, it'll be those particular impacts that we'll focus on. For example, in Colorado, we'll talk about snow and snow melt and how it impacts the water supply for the southwest part of the United States. And we'll be talking more about droughts than we will be about sea level rise, for example. Well, you know, there's always going to be a few, but since 2010, there have been 14,000 pieces of peer-reviewed climate science that really tells the story of what is really happening. It's not a theory, it's a fact. We have moved beyond theory, and what we're talking about now is unequivocal. So people will have their opinions, but they're not really based on scientific fact. At this point, it's just noise in the system, And we all need to move beyond that point if we're going to survive this climate warming that we're going to have in the next 10, 20, and 30 years. That's going to affect us personally. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, and I'm trying to think, there's probably a few others. And coming up, we're going to be on TikTok as well. All of these outreach channels are important, and you will be able to keep up with what's going on at the CAC. But another way to keep up is to go to our website where you can register. You'll see a little button that says contact us. You just put your information in, and you'll be receiving a monthly newsletter and information on announcements and meetings, such as our upcoming climate conference on November 19th at the University of South Florida in Sarasota, where we're going to make the first ever climate forecast for any region. It will be for the Southwest Florida region for 2030, 2040, and 2050, in order to inform our decision makers on what they need to get our society ready for. But every other community in the United States needs to be doing this now.